We are going to jump into our next interview. The team at Intersect, Antigua and Barbuda, is pleased to announce its forthcoming Artist in Residence program. In 2020, Intersect received a grant from the Women's Voice and Leadership Caribbean program administered by the Equality Fund. This grant financed the design, domain, and upkeep of, it says this website.
Yeah, our website.
Our website, okay. The Intersect website, or a
Yes.
specific website to do Intersect.
Intersect's website, yes.
Okay, Intersect's website. Wonderful. This grant financed the design, domain, and upkeep of Intersect's website. With this support, Intersect Antigua demonstrated its commitment to storying the Caribbean region for gender justice by procuring approximately 200 poetry, essay, short story, photography, and art submissions across 2 volumes of its annual Caribbean Feminist Stories project. That's the CFS project. Joanne Hillhouse is going to be joining us shortly to speak about her role working as the artist in residence. She is also joined by Intersect team member Lucia Murray.
Yes.
How are you this morning?
I'm good, thank you.
We would have met at the SIDS4 conference, so at least the ice has already been broken and you know that I'm a bit of a comedian. As I said, folks, Ms. Joanne Hillhouse is going to be joining us shortly. I want you to give us, Ms. Murray, I want you to give us a little background to Intersect for those persons who may be listening and they're not necessarily familiar with the organization. I think it's, at this point, an organization that most persons should be familiar with, but, if you haven't heard about it before, folks, I'm just asking Ms. Murray to give you a little introduction.
Okay, yeah, of course. So first of all, thank you for having us on this morning. I'm just going to jump right into it. So Intersect is a not-for-profit feminist collective formed here in Antigua in 2015 by our 2 co-founders, Sarah Ann Gresham and Aneka Nicholas. And it was originally to spark dialogue and action against gender-based violence in the Caribbean, which includes violence against women and queer people. The work that we do is grounded in the understanding that vectors of power intersect to produce varied experiences of oppression. So that means we're preoccupied with building a more just world or a better world that is free from the trappings of colonialism, imperialism, capitalism, as I said before, gender-based discrimination and violence, queerphobia, anti-blackness, climate injustice, and all of their other oppressive overlapping offshoots. There are many ways in which we're going about doing this, and they're all rooted in our core tenets as a collective. These tenets are a commitment to storytelling as a medium of radical social change. So you would have mentioned before CFS, building feminist coalitions for knowledge sharing and the co-creation of Caribbean feminist thought, embodying a radical ethic of love and care to suffuse and sustain our work, our communities, and our relationships, and enacting lasting transformative justice for ourselves, our communities, and our environments, which necessarily involves advocating for environmental and climate justice, especially considering our status as small islanders. Intersect aims to support and amplify the voices of the most marginalized among us, which you can get the impression of, to build community and engender tangible societal change. We also believe in making queer feminist knowledge more accessible and creating spaces outside of academic institutions for learning, by way of our website and social media, a lot of online spaces. And we've been able to realize these goals through the launching of, again, as you mentioned, our Caribbean Feminist Stories project in 2020, where we curated submissions of writing and art from Caribbean people that thematically center feminism, queerness, environmental justice, mental health, among other relevant topics to our socio-political context. We also commenced our online teaching series this year, where we invite different facilitators to lead free interactive sessions that teach participants about facets of Caribbean and transnational feminism. In addition to this series, we're able to launch our first ever 2024 Artist in Residence program, which is what brings us here today.
All right, that was you came prepared.
Yeah.
You came prepared. Excellent. It is 8:17 a.m. That's just a snippet, folks. That's just the introduction. We're going to pause for a cause, and when we return, we're going to jump right back into it. And Ms. Joanne Hillhouse has actually joined us in studio as well, so we're going to get the benefit of speaking to her as well. Of course, the voice you just heard was Intersect team member Lucia Murray. Lucia, that's how you pronounce it, right?
Yes.
Okay, Lucia Murray. No problem. We'll be right back, folks. It is 8:20 a.m. in Antigua and Barbuda. This is your wake-up call presented here on Twin Island Media 94.1 FM. My name is Kieran Murdoch. I'm going to be keeping you company this morning. I know that you have become accustomed to the sound of my lovely voice. Today is Friday, the 28th of June, 2024. We are speaking to Miss Joanne Hillhouse. She's going to be speaking to us on her role working as the artist in residence with Intersect, and also she's joined by Intersect team member Lucia Murray. And I want to jump back over to Miss Murray just before we introduce Miss Hillhouse, just to allow you to continue to, give us a full sense of Intersect and the entire program.
Yes. So speaking a bit more about this program, Intersect was the recipient of a Solidarity Grant from the Black Feminist Fund and a Catalyze Grant from the Equality Fund. And just for people to know a bit more about these two organizations, the Black Feminist Fund is a philanthropic organization based in the US that was formed to provide resources to Black feminist movements on a global scale in a way that is radically different from the way Black feminist movements are typically funded. While the Equality Fund, though based in Canada, is a similar organization, and they're dedicated to sustainably resourcing women's rights organizations and feminist movements throughout the world, but especially in the global south, which includes regions like the Caribbean as well as South America, Africa, and South Asia, by forging partnerships and networks. So, as I mentioned before, storytelling is one of our core tenets, and these grants have allowed us to really lean into that and embrace that by supporting and amplifying the work of feminist writers and artists living in the region, as well as financially compensating them for their labor, which is especially important in a world that tends to undervalue the arts and humanities. This program also aims to preserve, archive, and make contemporary Caribbean literary, feminist, and artistic scholarship more accessible by way of our website. Artists in residence can be writers like Joanne C. Hillhouse or visual artists of any medium. Their time being hosted by us would involve the creation of original pieces ranging from essays, reviews, and creative fiction or nonfiction to paintings, photography, or even film that should to some extent address, our core concerns as Intersect, like gender, race, class, sexuality, gender identity, disability, or indigeneity in a Caribbean context. Writers are expected to create 6 original pieces during their residency, while visual artists are expected to complete between 3 to 6, depending on the nature of the pieces. We also have a list of proposed topics that range from Caribbean folklore to anti-colonial history to popular culture, but artists in residence can also pitch topics of interest to us. So, as I said before, this is our first ever Artist in Residence program, and we are so honored to have Joanne C. Hillhouse be our first ever Artist in Residence. And I mean, she's pretty much a literary veteran in the Antiguan and Caribbean literary scene. And I feel like her presence and involvement in this scene has had a really big and tangible impact. So I'm just going to transfer this over to Joanne now.
Thank you so much. And of course, as I mentioned again, you came quite prepared. Quite prepared for us this morning. But of course, thank you, because we got a holistic introduction in terms of what the Artist in Residence program is all about. Mrs. House, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm good.
All right. I want to ask you, in terms of your role as working as the artist in residence, just give me a sense of, I mean, Ms. Murray would have given us an introduction there. She spoke about the artist in residence, the importance of that, how it's funded. She also said that there'd be 6 original pieces that the artist in residence would be, required to create.
Well, I don't think I'm as prepared as Lucia, so because all I'm going by is my noggin. But the experience, first of all, Lucia says it's an honor for me to have been selected as the inaugural artist in residence. I am someone who is not only a writer, but who has been committed to being an arts advocate. And part of my advocacy has been over the years trying to, like you look at other countries like Jamaica, Barbados, the Virgin Islands, some other places I'm forgetting, where they have residency programs or laureate programs, which gives artists the opportunity, the time, and the space. I always emphasize time and space because that's the thing that artists need most: time, space, and money to create and to uh, connect with the community as well. And these kinds of residencies can come from, and a residency doesn't necessarily mean a physical residency. Like I said, it's about time and space, but it can be physical. You have residencies in libraries. I know one of the residencies I aspired to once upon a time was they had an Amtrak residency in the U.S. where you just ride the train and write about your experience. And so for this one, it aligns a lot with who I am because they are about gender advocacy, and I have been in my writing and in my life about that as well. And it's been an opportunity to focus on, in my case, because this is a sort of self-style thing, we discussed how I'm going to use the residency. So it's been an opportunity for me to focus on some works in progress that I'm doing in terms of my own creative writing and discussing that process. And now moving into the second half of the residency where I'm writing about other creative works. So it's been a layered sort of experience and a great opportunity.
Well, let me ask, opportunities like this, you spoke about how they're sometimes not, I shouldn't say sometimes, but they're often not as present, let's say, in Antigua and Barbuda, and I'm sure that extends as well to perhaps a number of the other smaller Caribbean islands, as they may be in some of the larger Caribbean islands. So how important is it that you do have opportunities like this for writers or for artists, that they're actually able to work and to you said, of course, money.
Well, I think often it's doing a lot of heavy lifting there because never would be more accurate. I mean, there just isn't a lot of opportunity for writers. And I speak as someone who's been an independent artist in the Caribbean for, I guess, over 2 decades at this point, which is crazy because it's not sustainable. It really isn't. But somehow, because it's, when I say it's not sustainable, it's you're not going to have a cushy, easy life. Mm-hmm. You feel this impulse and this urge and this desire to create, this talent, this skill set, this gift that you've been given, and often your society, you question if it has value to your society. To your point, I think it has extreme value. I think the arts, if we look at the pandemic period when everybody was stuck at home, when all the things that we say matter could not be prioritized at that time, people listened to music, people watched films, they watched plays, they read books. It was an opportunity to feed our souls, and that's what the arts does. If artists are not compensated or given the opportunity to sit and process and put out work that comes out of engaging with their community and with themselves, with their introspection, then all we're doing is surviving. We're not truly living because we're not taking in all of ourselves. We're not examining ourselves. We're not seeing the mirrors of ourselves that the art provides. I think one of the beautiful things that Intersect does is that they lean into the creative. Their website is a treasure trove of voices, creative and non-creative. You can have the straight up juice, like this is what I think, or you can have poetry that speaks to my angst and how it connects to your angst and our collective experience, and you're not alone. These are all the things that the arts do for us, and I am both blessed and cursed to be an artist, and opportunities like this. When I say often, when you said often is doing a lot of heavy, it's just, and to be honest with you, you say small islands, but it's really priorities. It's really understanding that we have to give a little bit to everything. You have smaller islands than us that have incentives for artists. You have other Caribbean islands that have incentivized artists in different ways, as I mentioned. So it's about us saying, well, does this matter? And if we decide it matters, then how can we have a residency at the library where an artist can sit and write, and an artist can do workshop programs with young people? How we can have a residency for Carnival, for crying out loud, where an artist can attend the shows and talk about and write about and vlog about and TikTok about the experience. All of it is possible if we just decide that it matters.
Well said. I think Ms. Murray would have laid out for us very comprehensively the objective of Intersect in terms of the themes it focuses on, particularly, of course, the experience of women and, of course, the experience of queer persons. I want to give you the opportunity to speak a bit about how those themes will be connected to the work you'll be doing during this residency.
Okay, so I've been working on my collection for a long time. I've tentatively been calling it Stupid Children and Messy Women because it is about the innocence of childhood and about the complexities of being a woman. And that's something that I am getting a sharper understanding of throughout this residency, because I've been revising the works included in the collection, working on new works, and kind of seeing how they all come together, what connects them thematically. And because with a lot of these works, I've also been experimenting in terms of how I approach the telling of stories and all of that. That's been fun and interesting. And it connects with Intersect's agenda because, I mean, you're talking about Caribbean feminism. I am a Caribbean woman. I am a feminist. I don't approach my work as I'm going to write about Caribbean feminism, but in writing my experiences and the experiences of women that I pull from the lives around me, I am operating in that space. Caribbean folklore is another aspect of their work, and I enjoy integrating our folk characters, our imagination, this tendency in Caribbean literature where it moves between what's real and tangible and what's imaginative and speculative. I've been enjoying exploring that and also drawing on our own folk aesthetic. So different things that they the value of our creative arts. I mean, for me, I've said a million times that Calypso was one of the things that taught me how to write, because Calypso was about telling the stories of the people to the people. And as the song goes, Calypso don't have no friend. So you free yourself to be truthful on the page. So all of those things, I think, are intersect well with Intersect. So, you know, it's been fun to find the room to do my own work while also sharing. And because I'm a writer and a workshop facilitator and all of that, I teach writing, it's been kind of fun to deconstruct the process. This is how I write, I develop character. This is how I do different. I pull something from the work that I'm doing and I talk about the process of doing it, and hopefully somebody who's interested in craft will also get something from it.
All right, excellent. I want to throw it back over to Miss Lucia Murray just to ask, as we look to wrap up, the issue of the continuation of this program, you know, where it goes in the future. If you could speak a little bit about that. You may have covered it a bit. I don't know. This is something that will continue over time.
Yes.
So there will be other artists in residence as time progresses and so on and so forth. If you could just, as we conclude, remind our listeners of how this program will continue.
Yeah, so we actually already have 3 more confirmed artists in residence that will be coming in after Joanne, which is amazing. And, you know, as people engage and like with the pieces and as it garners more interest, we can apply for more funding so that we can continue to, like, the plan is definitely to have this be a thing that we can do every year. That is something that we absolutely would love to do. So yeah, it's just a matter of people, you know, engaging with the pieces made by our artists in residence and us being able to use that to apply for more funding. But yeah, I should probably let everyone know where they can find the pieces. So, as I mentioned before, they are housed on our website, www.intersectantigua.com. You can also find snippets and excerpts of our pieces alongside other works that we showcase on our Instagram, intersect.anu. That's just intersect.anu, as well as Twitter, intersect_ANU. And we can also be found on Facebook just as Intersect, as well as LinkedIn as Intersect Antigua. But yeah, please, I encourage everyone to go check out our website, check out Joanne's pieces because they are really amazing. Yeah.
And the final words from you, Miss Hillhouse?
Well, I mean, just to echo that, no creative likes to create in a void. If we're creating pieces and we have this invaluable opportunity to share work and to be compensated for our time while doing so, then we want people to read and comment and share and engage with the work. So that's what I hope. And it will also enable projects like this to get more funding. And if they can demonstrate that this is something that's really rippling through the community. So I encourage people to check out the pieces, and I thank Intersect for the opportunity to be already what I am, a creative.
All right, 8:36 a.m. in Antigua and Barbuda. We can wrap this one here. And of course, we say thank you to both Ms. Joanne Hillhouse, that's the last voice you just heard there, as well as Ms. Lucia Murray.